Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. One of the criticisms that comes up the most is the untidiness of our scruffy little farm. Okay, well, we admit that it's a scruffy little farm, but anyway, just to use that as inspiration for some of the comments that are from people who say, don't take your wife to America. Don't know why America gets such a beating, because I'm sure that it's the same for any other country that a Filipino goes to. Now, you have to understand the change in viewpoint that happens when a Filipino who has had an upbringing which is at a level of poverty that most Westerners will never ever know. Most Westerners, I'm not saying all, because I am the first to say that generalities don't work, but a lot of Filipino women that who will fall into that category of marrying a foreigner and then going to that country will fall into that category of having known hunger. Now, whatever happened in my childhood, and I was brought up in a very poor background with a father that often knew unemployment. We fed. We were never hungry. We were poor, very poor. I lived in Hume, which at the time was one of the poorest districts of Manchester, and we often survived on basic diet, but we never went hungry, and that's something that a lot of Filipinos have experienced, going hungry. Now, this is the thing, is that try as I might, I can't remember a time when I went hungry. And even when people are talking about their upbringing, which was poor, and let's face it, we all get some kind of strange little kick out of telling our poor stories, our sad stories, and we do get some sort of enjoyment out of it, of how deprived we were. But hunger is not a thing that I know, and yet Filipinos have experienced it, and a lot of them. Beth has experienced hunger. Beth has experienced going to school and not having enough money to even buy something. So this is something that when a Filipino goes to another country, they're coming from that background, and this is something that a Westerner will not be able to easily understand. Yes, intellectually, yes, but at a real gut level, you can't. Now, why do they say, the infamous they say, why do they say that your Filipino will change? Right, here's the way that I see that. I have the devil's own job trying to get Beth to change. And I think it's because while we're here, I am just, what was it, that famous pop group said, another brick in the wall. And that's something that is evident here. When you're here, you're a foreigner, you're just a brick in the wall. Oh. And everybody else has got their way of living, has got their way of surviving, and they do it better than anybody else in this situation. So when people are trying to come here and change Filipinos, it's really not going to happen. The changing of the Philippines and the changing of the Filipino people will come very, very gradually, and those that will change the most are those with money. Now, why would I say that? Because those with money can emulate the kind of living style, the kind of lifestyle that they see on television, the easiest. So when they turn the television on and they see some play being enacted, some series being enacted, and they look at these lavish sets, and believe me, some of the sets when they have these television shows are lavish beyond belief. It's an obscene show of wealth. Living rooms like as big as football fields, it seems. That's just a figure of speech, okay, but the living rooms will be enormous, bedrooms enormous, king-size beds, and all of this will be there for the Filipino to see. And if they've got the money, they can go out and they can begin to change the way that they see things. Now, for the average Filipino who is not doing that well, this is not so easy. Now, in my case now, I live in an extended family of hilltop farmers. There's no question that this is the way that it is. And they're not going to easily change. So, how, as a foreigner coming here, how could you affect a change? Only by doing your own living environment can you affect any kind of change. But don't think that it is far-reaching, because it's not going to be. Now, on the other side of that, that's what it's like here. But when a Filipino goes to another country, now, they are only a brick in the wall, and the wall is full of foreigners. So the reverse is happening. The roles are reversed. She is the foreigner, and she goes there, and she will meet the family of the man that she's married. She will see how they eat. She'll see how they live. She'll see what their kitchens are like, and what their living rooms are like, and the cars they drive, and what kind of entertainment they have. And she will see all of those things. And no matter how rigid she is in believing in her own lifestyle, she will change. Now, some Filipinos that are married and go to, say, America. I say America simply because I'm the most familiar with that as a lifestyle from before I came here. So she will see all of this. Now, some will run out and embrace it, and they'll take on the stainless steel kitchen and the king-size bed and the lavish lifestyle. She'll very quickly probably get a job. She'll be a hard worker, and she'll have a car of her own. She'll have money to send back to her families. And all of this will happen, and it will happen very quickly, because given that she is the foreigner, she will adapt to the lifestyle that she has. I've had wonderful letters from one couple who had, I think it was either 2 or 3 children, and they were living in, I think, Canada. They'd worked very, very hard, sent photographs of their family and of their house, and they enjoyed their lifestyle. Now, judging from the photographs that they sent, they were both Filipino, and they had gone over there and they'd worked very, very hard, and they enjoyed their lifestyle, and their children had been brought up in that lifestyle, and they were Americanized. Now, the ones that change in a way that's not good are the ones that become dissatisfied with the way that they have made it over to America.
Excuse me. After that, you come down.
Okay, honey. They have gone, and in my case, I'm that much older than Beth, and in any other given situation, who is to say what would happen? I'm a realist. Now, but so many times the man will be that much older. 20, 30, 40 years is not unusual about an age gap. Now, then they go to America. Now, we talked about this before, how for any man coming over here looking for a wife, he will be able to go out on the street in any small town or big town, and somebody put the figure as high as 30% or even 50%. I've got to let this cat out. Go. My noisy golden. Go on. So the age gap is great. Actually, what I was talking about, sorry, golden helped the thoughts fly from my mind. You would be able to see aesthetically, just in looks wise, dozens possibly of women who you could happily wake up to the next day and be married to, as long as their character was such that you could bond with them, of course. Right? Now, when that same woman that you marry, and with a great age gap, or that you're not the greatest looking guy, and you would take them back to America, now suddenly another role is reversed. Now, instead of like you being the foreigner and walking out on the streets and women paying attention to you, and beautiful women too, some of them absolutely stunning. Now, instead of it being you getting all of that attention, now it's your wife, because she is there, and she is by American standards and applying in there that other ingredient, which is that they're exotic, that they are Asian looking, long black hair, they're petite, slender, and so many things going for them, which the women who are American, are living there and have been living there, are not like that. One of the things that I always think is that if I see foreigners at the port when we're on the ferry or at the airport, I always know Americans because they're so much bigger. The men are taller, they're bigger. I mean, I feel dwarfed as a rule, if there are Americans nearby, because they're usually anything up to a foot taller than me. So imagine the difference when a lovely Filipina goes and finds herself on the streets in, well, that's not a very good way, in a life in, say, America, in any town in America, and she's going to be a beauty, and she's going to have a lot of attention, and it's not all going to be ethical. Even if she has a wedding ring and she keeps flashing it like this, it may even inspire greater efforts on the part of some men to seek her as a conquest. And so she's going to have temptations which she never had to have, in the same way that you, or any man coming over here as a foreigner, coming over here and then being out and abroad, getting a lot of attention from women that would never have looked at him if he was in America. Can you see how the role reverses? And then in exactly the same way that some foreigners come over here and then they go wild, they go to the bars, they don't realize that this is only all the true love that money can buy, and they become sex tourists. And you know, if that's their thing, then who am I to criticize them? Only to observe that what they're getting is not quite what they think it is. And so people respond differently. People respond differently to temptation. For me, I know my limits. I know my limits on temptation. I know my limits on the way that you should behave. I've now developed what I think is a protective mechanism against getting myself into a lot of trouble by always behaving by always being in my behavior to any woman that I meet and I speak to and acknowledge and respond to that woman, whoever she is, however beautiful, however whatever, I respond in a way which, if my wife was standing behind me, unbeknownst to me, I would not say anything that would offend her. That she would actually say, oh, so that's how he behaves with other women when I'm not there. No, I make sure that my behaviour is ethical. I make sure that I do not lose sight of my sense of integrity. And that's the way that I keep myself out of trouble. Now, if you are someone who likes to live dangerously and flirt and all of that, then you're in for trouble. And the same applies to a woman who is going over to another foreign country where her level of beauty, which she has considered is not so great, when she's home, she will find that the dynamic has changed drastically. Now, she will actually be considered a real beauty. And where she never thought very much of herself before, now she has a way that is open to her to reconsider that. And is she going to take advantage of that? Is she going to realize that that's the way? I have a friend who was married to an Asian, and they in I think in Texas or somewhere like that. They're there, and in fact she realized that she could probably do better than him, and that's what she thinks that she did. And during the time that he was with her, he learned her language, had a pretty good grasp of it, and was able to understand the kind of conversation that went between her and her Asian friends. And they talked about this, about how now that they were here in America, they could do better, that they didn't have to have this much older man, they didn't have to have this less than handsome man, less than wealthy man, that they could actually find someone who would think that they were incredible beauties, offer them a very rich and lavish lifestyle, that they would almost be a trophy wife, and their head would be turned. Now, this is one of the reasons why I say, when you come over here, you should be looking in the right places for a partner. And I still say, criticisms aside, that finding someone in a bar is not going to be the best approach to finding someone who has a sense of spiritual path that she is on, a sense of right and wrong, a sense of integrity, a sense of morality. It's not likely, it's not impossible, but it's not likely to be found in a bar where a woman will have a job of encouraging a man to drink and be a good customer, and then afterwards who knows what. So expect that your wife will change, expect that your girlfriend will change. It's up to you to ascertain the qualities of character of the woman that you marry before you take her into a place where she will be sorely tested for integrity. And that's what you have to be sure of. And you have to do that by being here and watching her, looking at what her family background is. And all of these things are all important. So it's a minefield. It's a never-ending discussion. It's a never-ending source of material, as you may have seen. It's a never-ending source of material for doing a video, because the questions can never fully be answered. I'm being called for dinner. Thanks for looking in. I'm a foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.